Hello there! Welcome back to another video! In this video I'm going to be doing some fan art of Boku No Hero Academia or My Hero Academia, whichever you prefer. I tend to call it Boku No Hero or just BNHA when I type it. But yeah, this is Izuku from Boku No Hero, and I wanted to draw this because I saw this kind of a concept done in a fan art on my Tumblr, and I was kind of inspired because it was like a very pivotal scene. And I keep up with the manga more than the anime, so this is a little bit like old news for me, if I'm quite honest. But yeah, it just felt like a very emotional scene in it since the anime finally caught up to it. A lot of fan art for it's been floating around, and so I decided that it would be a good opportunity to try to do this kind of fan art concept that I sort of did before, where there's two-tone lighting, where like on one side you're getting lit by one colour light source and on the other side you're getting lit by another colour light source. I made a video when I did that painting. I'll put a link in the card. It was with my character Rowan. There was a blue light and a red light on one side, and he's a mostly red warm color schemed character. But this is Izuku from Boku no Hero. He has green hair, he has light skin, and he was wearing kind of like a white t-shirt, grey kind of over jacket sort of thing. I don't really remember because I read the manga, right? I haven't seen the episode in the anime yet, and it was a while ago, so I just kind of tried to find little screenshots or panels in the manga on Google with a quick search. Like if I just googled Boku no Hero You're Next, this sort of scene comes up. Spoiler alert, I write You're Next. I'm not going to really talk about what the You're Next means if you're not caught up with the series, so don't worry about that. But yeah, I just felt like drawing some fan art because it's been quite a while since I've done fan art, especially on this YouTube channel. I can't even remember what the last fan art was. It was probably the Zuko drawing or the Newt Scamander drawing maybe. I did some fan art for Inktober and I did a showcase video for that, but honestly, yeah, it's been a long time since I've done any fan art on this channel. I do like fan art, I do like making fan art, and I kind of really want to get into doing a lot more Boku no Hero fan art because it's such a good show. Like, I can't give it enough praise, honestly. I enjoyed it immensely, but then the more I think about it and the more I it's bad to compare things, but the more I compare it to things like Naruto or Fairy Tail or Bleach, and granted, I absolutely love, I'm like a shonen maniac. I love Bleach. One Piece I'm about halfway through, so I can't really say anything for One Piece, but Naruto, I'm a big shonen fan. But I just think that Boku no Hero, even though it's like so new, it does everything that a shonen action should do. Literally, it's like, I don't know, like the author for Boku no Hero really did his homework is all I can say. But so my idea for this was really just to capture a little bit of that scene. I know he was like kind of wearing a lot more of a distressed expression in the original, but I kind of wanted to make him a little bit more determined because I really like this artist's style, but I couldn't really kind of harmonize the way that he does like some kind of distressed open mouths with the way that I do faces, so I kind of like sapped most of the emotion out of it, honestly. No, but I made him looking determined up, and then near the end I add Izuku's traditional tears because he's a crybaby, and I love having a shonen protagonist that's such a crybaby. It reminds me of what's his face from Katekyo Hitman. What was his name again? Oh, now that's gonna bother me. I'll remember it at some point. But yeah, it reminds me a lot of early on Katekyo Hitman protagonist, which that was also pretty good shonen. No, so yeah. Oops, there's a lot of beeping noises going around. But yeah, so it was a really simple kind of bust drawing because I wanted to focus on the lighting more than anything. And I just kind of expression simple, pose simple, very cropped, background also quite simple. Like I do some strokes with my chalk brush in the background to kind of unify it some, not just leaving it these like very smooth digital gradients, but I just really wanted to focus on the lighting and the colours and stuff like that. So I picked a skin tone that was like a very desaturated kind of beigey, but because the background is so dark and blue, it still reads as skin. And I don't know, I just kind of jumped, as soon as I started doing like the shading and the overpainting things, I jumped into the zone the zone trademark in like big capital letters and stuff like that, and it just flew by. I felt like I was sculpting. I felt like this only took around 2 hours and a bit in total, but it felt like I was at it for like 6 or 7. I don't know, I just felt like I was in a different dimension. And especially in the hair, like I was just completely winging it, because it's really hard to wrap your mind around this kind of a very poofy, curly, but it's spiky, but it's curly, but it's spiky, but it's anime, but it's poofy, but it's green, and then where's the light coming from, but it's textured. It's very hard to wrap your head around, or at least I find it hard to wrap my head around, trying to sort of give a little bit more of a realistic twist to Izuku's hair. But I think it turned out really nice, so I just kind of dumped a darker blue-green shadow where I did all the lines, and then I started blending them out, and then afterwards I started going in with highlights and stuff like that, and that's what really wraps it up into being like more hair texture-like, rather than just sort of... I mean, I guess it always kind of looks like hair. I don't know, it feels like it fits with everything. I'm hiding like the skin layer and stuff like that, so my eyes can focus on the contrast better, because when you have a really dark background and you're working with a dark color and you're shading it, and you have something like a lot lighter and brighter, it's hard for... You know how when you focus the camera, especially on smartphones, if you like tap on something dark, the dark bit becomes lighter, and then anything that was light becomes overexposed. It's sort of, your eyes can do that same thing, it like adjust exposure, but so if you have something that's a lot brighter next to something that's really dark, the brightness is going to be so much easier to see. So that's why I hide things like the skin and like the t-shirt when I want to focus on doing like darker areas. And I adjusted Izuku's skin to be darker there, because I felt like it was too bright for the environment, but in the end, in the final touches, I ended up saturating and brightening everything up, because even though it made sense in terms of the lighting scheme and the situation for it to be like that, it didn't end up looking that nice, so I took creative license and kind of brightened everything, lightened everything, even though like this would be the correct, like if you took a photo in that scene and you didn't edit it, I believe it would look more like this versus how it ended up in the final. But the way that I did this, I did a sketch and then I did a refined sketch, which isn't line art, and then I did the base colours and I did the shading on the base colours, and then I sort of made clipping masks on top of the base colours to start adding the coloured highlights, and then I merged everything and duplicated everything, because that's sort of like my flat finish. So if I wasn't doing the playing around with lighting, that would have basically been the finished piece, but because I was going to be playing around with lighting and it's kind of a new-ish thing for me, I decided to like duplicate everything and make clipping masks so I could edit. Now it came in handy later on because I made it on a clipping mask, so I ended up making the yellow reflection there, the one that I'm doing right now on the side of the nose, it ended up being like it went too far down and it sculpted the shape of his face into something that I didn't really like. So instead of trying to paint it back over with the skin color and kind of mess it up, it was really easy to just use a soft eraser to just come back to what it was before, which is why I was really happy that I did it that way. In places that I wasn't so worried about, like the shirts and stuff like that, I just, put it right on top of everything, because like it's not a big deal if I lose some of my previously painted details, because let's be honest, the main focus here is the hair and the skin, and everything else is kind of really simple. I'm actually really proud of the way that the yellow highlights came out on his face and the way that the blue highlights came out on his hair. The blue highlights on his face I'm not as happy with, I don't know why, and the yellow highlights in his hair are also kind of just meh. What else can I say? Yeah, so I don't know, I had a lot of fun with this. I kind of originally, when I first kind of imagined this in my head, I imagined him in his school uniform, and then I imagined his tie kind of in the wind going towards the viewer and kind of foreshortening his tie. But when I did look up the references for this scene, he wasn't in his uniform, and then I remembered kind of more of the context of the scene. It's like, yeah, of course he's not in his uniform and all that stuff. So I ended up just going with a necklace flowing in the wind, and I put a bit of foreshortening in the after effects. I did some sort of like sparks or water droplet that catch the light, so they're overexposed and blown out with the highlight colors. And there's his tear. I really like drawing anime tears. I did it twice because the first one went straight down and wasn't really following the shape of his cheek, so the second one is more following the kind of swell of his cheekbone, which makes it look more three-dimensional. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. It wasn't that difficult. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be, because I've picked up a lot more about lighting and where light hits and thinking about things in 3 dimensions. So like painting turns out to be more like sculpting in a way than I'd imagined than I would have, because I've been spending a lot more time just sketching in just ballpoint pens, so it's a little bit hard to reconcile the fact that I do know so much about painting things in like 3 dimensions and making things look sculpted and stuff. Here I'm adding some of the background color all around him, and then I turn the opacity down on that to kind of merge him more, and we're about finished now, so I'm going to do panning shots of the final thing. And I wanted to thank you very much for watching. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Are you watching Boku No Hero? Let me know. I think it's a really, really good show, and I'd love to talk about it with people if you're willing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.